What's up, listener? Thanks for pressing play on this episode of the Jock and Nerd Podcast. This week, we discuss the crazy Batman movie rumors flying around the interwebs. We geek out over the Thor Ragnarok teaser trailer, and we discuss the guy they picked to play Cable in Deadpool 2. Plus, you're going to get our full review of Season 1 of Marvel's Iron Fist on Netflix in this edition of the Jock and Nerd Weekly for Wednesday, April 12th, 2017.
I am the Iron Fist.
The hell does that mean?
Check one. All right. This is rolling fans out there. Let's give it up. We're talking, we nerded. We're funny, disturbing. We're talking, we nerded. We're spoiler alert. Oh yeah. We're talking, we nerded. We're funny, disturbing. Oh yeah. We're talking, we nerded. We're spoiler alert.
What's up, and welcome to the Jock and Nerd Podcast, listener. My name is Imran.
My name's Anthony.
He's the Jock.
He's the nerd.
And he's the Rugboy. What's up, Rugs?
What's up, dudes?
How's it going? Oh, no, we all jump on your lines now.
I waited a second because I knew someone was going to do something.
It's almost instinctual to go when you say, what's up, to go, how's it going? It's like when somebody asks you, what are you? You have to say, I'm Batman.
Batman, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you?
What are you? I'm Batman. Welcome to the Jock and Nerd Podcast. This is your weekly geek digest covering all things comic book, superhero, movie, television related in pop culture. Don't worry, listener. There's plenty of room, and I guarantee you we will not have to reaccommodate you for this show.
Oh, shit.
Everyone can remain seated and boarded. Everything's fine. Everyone just relax. By the way, I just bought some United stock. It was really cheap for some reason.
I can't wait to fly United end of this month.
Yeah, you're taking it to Vegas. That didn't turn you off at all, did it?
This flight's going to be a drag.
Why don't they tell you before you get on the plane?
Oh, are you talking bringing up like this situation?
Because they don't care about their customers.
Well, they fucked that one. They shouldn't have let people on the plane.
Does that happen? Does that happen all the time? I'm not familiar with this.
People get kicked off planes all the time.
Like while they're sitting in this.
Yeah, dude, there's tons of videos that are coming out. Like this happens all the time.
Well, the in the seats is not as often.
Like, how do they pick the guy though?
It's more often that they don't let anyone board, and they're like, we need someone to volunteer, and then eventually they're like, okay, well, if no one volunteers, we'll have to kick.
They pick the oldest, most Asian-looking person on the plane, and they volunteer him. I'm gonna make a T-shirt that says, "Don't reaccommodate me, bro."
Don't tase me. Don't reaccommodate.
I think it'll be a hit. Look, if you're a first-time listener, thanks for checking us out. What we do here is discuss geek news, and then we review things, and sometimes we have awesome interviews with creators and other fun people. This show, we're going to go through some geek news, and then we are going to review the first season of Marvel's Iron Fist on Netflix.
Geek boner.
The fourth character from the Marvel Netflix universe on their way to the Defenders. If you want to follow along with the show, just visit jockandnerd.com/162 for the show notes, where we got links to everything we talked about. And I'm going to reaccommodate us right to the news. Let's get out of the seat, fella.
The Jock and Nerd Podcast.
Also, if you want to say hi or if you have a question for us, or if you find yourself screaming at your device while listening, well, then what you probably should do is visit jockandnerd.com/contact and send us a message. Send us your voice. Send us a tweet, an email. We will share it with the listeners and read it on the show. Lots of fun interaction. Before we start the news, we lost a couple of really funny people recently. I just wanted to pay respects because I've always been a big comedy nerd. Ever since I was a little kid, me and my sister would watch stand-up comedy, and I've loved comedy movies. Don Rickles, the original OG insult comic, died last week, and he was old. He lived a long, full life, But Don Rickles was awesome, dude. He would, if you just look up any roast from him, he would just rip you a new one to your face and smile and do it with amazing dexterity. And then we lost Charlie Murphy just today. On the day we're recording, the story came out, which is crazy.
I still can't believe that.
Yeah, Ruggs, you didn't even know until I showed you the show notes. Apparently, he had been fighting leukemia, Eddie Murphy's older brother, by a year, and star of possibly the funniest fucking bit I've ever seen on television. When I saw True Hollywood Story with Charlie Murphy and Rick James, oh my God, I've never laughed so hard. That thing is so rewatchable. It's probably one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
Charlie Murphy!
Darkness! Anthony, you're a big Chappelle fan. How was that one and the Prince one? How awesome are those?
Charlie Murphy in general was hilarious.
Yeah.
On it, so I didn't really know who Charlie Murphy was until that show. I was like, oh, that guy kind of looks like Eddie Murphy.
Right?
Oh, wait, that is Eddie Murphy's brother.
I don't think...
Brother Darkness, twin brother Darkness.
I don't think a lot of people knew Charlie Murphy until those bits. Really broke him open. But if you listen to old Eddie Murphy bits, he would have stuff about him and his older brother Charlie, and they were hilarious bits.
That sucks.
That's
young.
That's crazy. 57. So rest in peace, Don Rickles, Charlie Murphy. Let's start with, we just have a couple of quick news bits. I want to get to Iron Fist, but a couple of big things popped up. A couple of fun things to discuss, like these Batman movie rumors, which come to us via the way these crazy rumors have been coming to us in the internet, but more specifically via Reddit, via 4chan. We've talked about these big rumor dumps in the past because they're fun to entertain. What I can't remember, have any of them come true when we've talked about these things? Are any part of them?
I don't remember any of them.
No, I don't remember. Yeah, there was
the Spider-Man plot wasn't real.
That wasn't real, but there was a whole DC EU one about a year ago. But
there was a Marvel one too.
There's a Marvel one.
Knowledge. I don't remember. We'd have to look back.
I know. I feel like parts of them come true, but that could just be these people get lucky. Anyways, this time there's a ton of news about DC Warner Brothers plans for Batman. Here we go. Here's the first rumor. The plan for 2019 is to release 4 Batman-related films.
Oh, shit.
They're talking Gotham City Sirens around Valentine's Day weekend, Nightwing on Memorial Day weekend, Batgirl in August, and The Batman in November. The studio is doing this to celebrate the 80th anniversary of Batman. Okay? It goes on. The Batman film will have Deathstroke, but not as a main villain. Matt Reeves wants to do a larger-scale Batman film that will include the Bat family, as well as most of Batman's rogues. And then in addition, 2 Batman animated films are also planned for 2019. One will be an adaptation of The Long Halloween. So that's like 6 Batman-related releases in 2019. What do you guys think of this rumor so far?
Wow.
Well, I don't know if I think anything of it because I'm looking at the show notes and then you have the next article. So
right.
But if it was true that they were doing 4 Batman movies in 2019, that kind of seems like overkill.
So Affleck's going to be in all of these movies?
Well, that's the thing. Do you think he wants to do bit parts in all these movies? It might be a little bit. He might be like, you know what? Fuck this shit. You're shoving me everywhere, diluting my character. I have no control. It is Batman's 80th anniversary.
I had more thoughts, but it's tough for me to give thoughts when DC's already debunked this.
Well, yeah, okay, we'll get to that. The other ones are Grant Wilson might be the villain for the Nightwing solo film. He's hired by Roland Desmond to take out all the mob bosses in Bloodhaven. Suicide Squad 2 or Dark Universe will most likely be taking Aquaman's previous release date, which was October 5th, I believe. Mel Gibson is no longer the frontrunner to direct Suicide Squad sequel. Jaume Collet-Serra and Ruben Fleischer are now the top candidates. The script is currently being written with a story pitch given by Ayer. Killer Frost will be the new female lead to replace Harley Quinn. The Dark Universe script is going through final rewrites. Guillermo del Toro's old treatment was used as a base and was rewritten to connect to the universe. If Doug Liman is ready, filming could start as early as summer. 4 movies are also planned for 2020. Warner Brothers wants to do 2 low-budget, smaller-scale films and 2 big-budget, larger-scale films per year. I actually really like that idea. Jonathan Levine is in talks to direct The Flash. The film will most likely release in 2020. And Matthew Vaughn will most likely write the Man of Steel sequel if he takes on the directional duties. And then there was another thing about Black Adam solo movie being scrapped, and he would be the villain in the Man of Steel sequel, which would be kind of fun to see Henry Cavill and The Rock do like a superhero beatdown. That would be fun to watch. What are you guys' thoughts about the second half of rumors here?
Well, it's just hard to believe any of this is going to happen until it actually happens, because DC always has these big plans, and then me and all of us will then start talking about how the director's not doing this, or like they're restructuring everything.
It all falls through.
Everything falls through, or at least like some of this will fall through. So I don't really have much speculation on any of this.
Yeah, it feels like that they cry wolf all the time. It's going to tell us all this shit, and then none of it's going to come to fruition. It's just going to be a bunch of bullshit.
I really think that 2 small movies and 2 big movies, that is a great idea for them.
How about instead of making 2 small movies and 2 big movies, let's make a good movie.
Well, that's the other thing.
And then we can do 4 movies in a year.
Exactly. They're like dumping their load and shoving all these movies. They're like, more. How about you give us one good movie?
As I said on the community page, I mean, if any of this is true, it just goes back to what DC always has been doing with their movies ever since the 80s, or any of their properties really, with whether it be comics or even TV, is when they don't know what to fucking do, they turn to Batman. That's all they do. They just turn to Batman.
It's always the good go-to. Just put Batman in it. Just or Batman. And then you know what? Part of me, we love Batman. Give me more Batman. Just if it's gonna make it so shitty that people don't care anymore, then be concerned. But give me more Batman. So, anyways, DC Films producer John Berg seemed to put some doubt into this plan when he tweeted to Jeff Johns. He goes, "Hey, Jeff Johns, why didn't you tell me we were releasing 4 Batman movies in 2019? Can we increase that to 10? To which Jeff Johns replied, he says 27, including Batmite, the movie.
Oh, shit.
As if, if these guys don't know about it, then I don't know.
That's why it was hard for me to even get excited. It was like, or not even get excited, but to even have any thoughts, because they already debunked this.
But they have announced all these movies, but the question is, when are they actually going to get their shit together? They have like 17 things in development, very early stages of development. All right, look, let's talk about something that gives me way more
geek boner
than the mess.
Let's talk about something that's actually going to happen.
That's actually going to happen, and it's going to be awesome, and that is Thor Ragnarok from Marvel Studios. We got a teaser trailer, an incredibly fun, exciting teaser trailer, a trailer to the point where people, the general audience, our friends who would never into Thor, were like, holy crap, this looks awesome. I want to watch this movie. What do you see in this Thor trailer directed by Taika Waititi is you get a sense of this is a different tone from any other Thor movie. You got some also retro captions and titles coming at you, radiating out you like from the 80s. You see Hela and Asgard. There's so many things. And look, there's no surprise. And I think a lot of people were surprised is that you see the motherfucking Hulk.
Oh, shit.
Wow. At the end, something we were all waiting for, but I think a lot of people had no idea that the Hulk was going to be in this. And it super surprised them. What thoughts on this trailer? What do you guys got?
I mean, I admittedly, I love anything Marvel does right now. And this is another one that's just right up there for me. Originally, when they announced that they were going to make Ragnarok, I was like, man, this movie's going to be like really dark.
Yeah.
Like this is because it's the end of all things, Ragnarok. That's a huge storyline. But it seems like they've gone in the complete opposite direction. I mean, Hela looks great.
Yes.
She does look evil, but this movie is definitely got that vibe of Thor meets Guardians sort of feel.
Yeah.
Just with the color palette and how wacky it is and in space. So I wouldn't be surprised if this connects to Guardians in more ways than one, just because that's kind of the way it makes sense to connect the Avengers to the Guardians. The one thing I like, I mean, there's a bunch of things, the colors, the how funny it looks, Hulk. The one thing I noticed that Marvel movies haven't done with Thor is they've really embraced helmets, which is a big part of Thor's mystique. I mean, he's never wears the helmet other than like a brief shot in the first movie. He's finally wearing his helmet. Loki's got his helmet. He's worn that a couple times. But Hela's helmet, which should look like complete garbage, looks really awesome from that one shot.
You see, look, Hela's helmet looks amazing and comic book accurate. That his battle helmet is badass. Loki's,
She.
or her. No, I'm talking about when he puts the battle helmet on at the end.
Oh.
That looks great. Loki's helmet is from the comic books. The colors in this are great, and there is so much Jack Kirby influence in the sets in this trailer that it's really awesome. Because he set a lot of these visual things with Thor. And like, is he breaking the fourth wall in the beginning where like there's a record scratch? There's like a record scratch, and he's like, "Oh, I probably you didn't expect to see this." And I was like, "Is he breaking the fourth wall? That's crazy." And then Hela destroys Mjolnir. That's huge. Like, as campy and as fun as this is, like that is a huge, huge moment in the canon. But you're right, Anthony. Tying this to Guardians, where we've seen Thanos, to Avengers 4, where we're gonna fight Thanos. Like these connections are great. Moving along in phase 3. Ruggs, what'd you like about the
only thing I didn't like was the whole Mjolnir getting destroyed thing. I was like, that was impossible to do.
Right. That's why it's so
I was
big.
Like, whoa, they're doing this in a movie?
Yeah.
Wow. But yeah, I'm echoing all the things you guys said. Basically, shit that shouldn't look good looks great. Like Hela's helmet shouldn't look good, but it looks awesome. And whoever's doing the production design, whoever the art director in this thing really has it, done an awesome job and bringing this stuff to life. And I think it's going to be good. I mean, you can always be fooled by a good trailer, but it seems like they got their shit together, and hopefully they don't kill Hela off. All right, let's keep her around.
Yeah,
I've heard rumors about actually Hela on like different forums, but some people are speculating that Hela is going to be the version of death that Thanos falls in love with.
Yeah, and that's not bad. I kind of like that. You tying the thread together from there. Jeff Goldblum looks great, and just perfect Jeff Goldblum. You see Scourge? You see Carl Urban as Scourge for a second, and he's shooting like machine guns, which is
see that.
Yeah,
you got a lot of shots of Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie.
She looks great.
Looks like a captured ex-Guardian who now works for Jeff Goldblum's character. What's his character?
He's the Grandmaster.
The Grandmaster.
Yeah.
Okay.
And of course, the great line at the end where Thor's like, "Yes,
which
I
has
know
already been made into 1,000 memes.
I know, there's so many stupid memes
and GIFs.
But on all the stuff on Sakaar, man, you see a lot of Jack Kirby geometric influence in the sets in the background. And like you said, that dude Andy Park worked on the costumes for this, and he's great. And he really he made it comic book accurate, and it still looks awesome. And I think how Hela has those spiky in that one shot. She's got those spiky antlers, like those things move also. You can see briefly when she's flipping that the spikes are kind of alive and they're attacking people. Yeah, so
that shot is actually, if you slow it down frame by frame, it looks like that's a shot of Hela and her like army fighting Asgardians.
Fighting the Asgardians.
Maybe in the past or something like that, like they've been at war before. Or it doesn't even look like Asgardians, it looks like Valkyrie, like multiple Valkyries.
I'm also thinking a lot of what they showed us here is like first act of the movie, because we were promised a road trip movie. They got to make it back to Asgard. They got to fight Hela. All this stuff probably happens in the first act, setting everything up, and like, oh my god, what a great tone! What like for Thor? A lot of people don't like Taika Waititi. I noticed they were like, I don't like this director. It's too like fun. But I think it's perfect. I think it's perfect tone for Thor.
Well, remember, it's just a trailer.
That's true.
How many times did you watch it?
A lot.
Like 5 times?
I'll tell you what, this was also, Marvel broke a record with this trailer. It is now the most viewed Disney trailer in its first 24 hours.
Oh, shit.
I gotta admit, I watched it more than any other trailer that I've seen, like, this year.
I've watched it. I've looked at screenshots. I've seen the GIFs. They've broken down. Like, it's just so much fun.
There's a lot to look at. I think that's the point, is there's a lot to see and a lot that, like, wait, I got to catch that again. I want to see that again.
136 million times it was viewed in 24 hours. This crushes Marvel's previous studio record with Captain America Civil War with 94 million, but it would also beat Beauty and the Beast's recent 127.6 million views and Star Wars Force Awakens 112. So this thing crushed. I think this thing is like, people got people excited for a Thor movie, which they haven't really been until they just like seeing him in the Avengers.
Well, you know what? You know why they've got make a big splash with this one. I think this comes out in November.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And if I'm not mistaken, there's another movie that comes out in November.
This is going to probably it's going up against the Justice League, people.
Yeah,
so the hype train
that's
is
tough
gotta
competition.
Start. Yeah.
Granted, I mean, I know we bash on DC, but the Justice League is a huge name to go up against in comic book films.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Hulk looks so great in this, though, at the end. Wow, like that one close-up shot of his face. It just got me really excited. I can't. And then Doctor Strange is in this. Hopefully the three of them get together and they fight.
Yeah, they really didn't reveal. I mean, there's really nothing. The only plot point you get is Hela destroys Asgard and Thor's on another planet.
And Thor's banished to Sakaar and they got to fight. And that's it. And that's great. So
and that seems to be the formula with a lot of trailers, except Kong Skull Island, is that you don't show the third act in the trailer at all. Or at least in the first couple trailers.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, that's great.
Stop doing the full reveal.
I mean, I think hopefully the Spider-Man Homecoming, like all that shit is like first acty shit too. Please tell me there's more.
I felt like they started teasing third act stuff when he was in the regular like
when he was in the homemade Spider-Man, homemade suit. Yeah, maybe. But then if he does get some sort of proper suit at the end, there's still that.
Yeah, there's still. So, I mean, who knows?
Yeah. All right, moving on. We got some exciting casting news. Who's going to play Cable in Deadpool 2 for weeks? There have been all these speculations.
Stephen Lang?
It's not Stephen Lang. And I don't even want to talk about this because every week it was another person, from your Brad Pitt to the guy, David Harbour from Stranger Things. But finally, they have cast Cable, and it's none other than Thanos. It's Josh Brolin.
Oh, shit.
Josh Brolin has officially been cast as Cable in Deadpool 2, joining that girl Zazie Beetz from Atlanta, the show, Donald Glover's show, as Domino. I like this pick. I could see him as, is it going to mess with him being Thanos is my question.
Who cares?
It doesn't matter?
What do you mean, is it going to mess with him? You acting like actors can't have multiple roles?
I mean, they're not going to, no, they can, is it going to confuse people? It probably shouldn't because you can't tell.
He's motion captured as Thanos.
Yeah, you barely tell that's his face. Remember, Michael Shannon almost got this role, but what do you guys think of the Brolin as Cable? I think it's good.
I like it.
Yeah,
I think it's pretty good.
I like it too, and I think compared to like Ryan Reynolds, I question if he's actually a well-rounded actor.
Yes,
I don't question that with Josh Brolin.
No, I think he will play off the Reynolds.
I think Brolin may even like elevate.
I was going to say he's going to have to up his game to keep up with Josh Brolin. And apparently, this is a 4-picture deal for the Josh Brolin.
Good for him.
So you can string him off into the.
Well, you know what that kind of tells you about the way the X-Men universe is going is they're going to start really leaning on Deadpool and looks like maybe Cable for their movies.
Well, you could put him in X-Force, you could put him in cameos in New Mutants, you could start having him show up in this new set of X-Men movies they're trying to make. So
it looks like Ryan Reynolds and like Josh Brolin are leading like it used to be. It was always Hugh Jackman, with Patrick Stewart, and all the people, and then they kind of like were leaning on Jennifer Lawrence and Fassbender and McAvoy,
and they didn't have anything to do with it. Yeah,
and then these are the next two guys.
They're gonna roll out X-Force, and they're gonna have X-23. They're gonna they're gonna have Negasonic Teenage Warhead. They're gonna have Colossus, Cable, Domino, and Deadpool, and that's X-Force right there. Boom.
That's pretty sweet, team. I'd be down with that. I like that. That's pretty
Geek boner.
But no, I think it's smart to kind of now let's use these guys as the anchor. Now that the old crew has kind of moved on, and J-Law didn't want to have any part of this. Clearly, she looked bored in that whole movie. Next bit of interesting news, guys, I want to share is if you in our last post show on Patreon, Ruggs and I, after the Delhauer left, you left, Anthony, we started talking about like politics and religion. It got real deep. It's always, we kind of let our guard down. But David Zika liked the audio. He liked it on Patreon. So I have to thank him for that because nobody likes anything on the fucking Patreon page. But
because it's complete garbage.
Because it's complete audio garbage in your ear. You're going to love it. But he posted this article that kind of brought our conversation full circle back to comic books. And it's the fact that X-Men Gold, the artists on X-Men Gold, hid some political and religious messages in the first issue of X-Men Gold, and I wish I had bought this now. Here's what happened. The artist's name is Ardian Syaf. This was first pointed out by a Reddit user that there were specific verses and codes from the Quran in this book. The primary message inserted into X-Men Gold #1 is an image of Colossus in a shirt that reads QS 5:51, a reference to chapter 5, verse 51 of the Quran, which in common English translation reads, "O you who have believed, do not take the Jews and Christians as allies. They are, in fact, allies of one another. And whoever is an ally to them among you, then indeed he is one of them. Indeed, Allah guides not the wrongdoing people." However, the commonly used Indonesian translation, which is he's Indonesian, uses the term leaders instead of allies. This is all because Indonesia, this guy's Indonesian, and this is based on a protest. This verse has been used as a rallying point against Basuki Thaja Purnama, the Christian governor of the capital of Jakarta.
Gesundheit.
Yeah, bless you. Some Indonesian Muslims have accused Purnama of blasphemy against the Quran, a crime in Indonesia, and have called for his removal from office or arrest. And then there's a second image that appears in X-Men Gold. The number 212 is on a building in the background. This number was primarily seen juxtaposed next to Kitty Pryde, a Jewish character. Kitty Pryde's Jewish? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
The 212 has been used as a reference for specific peaceful protest against Purnama, which took place on December 2nd, 2016, in which an estimated 200,000 Indonesians marched against the politician. 212 is also the area code in Manhattan where X-Men takes place. So, since the discovery of this, Syaf has confirmed this, and he's in a statement released via Facebook. He asked for those discussing it to remain civil, and concurrently, Marvel has terminated him for putting this stuff in. Syaf has taken.
He said his career is over.
He said his career is over. He took the position that he was using his art to protest Purnama's blasphemy, and has not yet apparently addressed the anti-Semitic or anti-Christian message that many have taken from the hidden references. Syaf's Facebook page has since been deleted entirely.
Wow.
This is pretty crazy. So just to fill the listener in, look, if I tell you, Indonesia is a crazy place right now for Muslims. If I tell you, think of a Muslim person, I think a lot of people, they're going to think of like an Arab person. And I think second, you're going to think of like a brownie, like a Paki, an Indian person, right? That's what you guys would think possibly.
Those aren't one and the same.
They aren't in the same. No, here's the thing.
Fucking with you.
The largest ethnic population of Muslims out of all the Muslims are actually Indonesians. Indonesians make up and they also have very extremist radical groups in Indonesia, like Abu Sayyaf, who will take you to the woods and behead you.
Is that Abu Sayyaf? Abu Sayyaf's Philippines.
Oh, that's the Philippines. There's there's one in Indonesia.
They all look alike.
Yeah. In fact, it's so crazy there. I saw the recent Vice episode on HBO. Banda Aceh, the city of Aceh, is experimenting with running full Sharia law, Islamic law, in Aceh right now. And they have religious police, and they walk around and they make sure that nobody's drinking booze, that men and women who aren't married aren't alone, that the women are properly covered up. They train them how to cane people. There's like public canings. You get 40 lashes. It's some crazy shit. You know what? Mike Pence would probably like it there right now because he also, as we know, does not sit at a dinner table without his wife if there's another woman there. He will not do that. He's a crazy person. But this militism and kind of what's going on in this Islamic world in Indonesia, like made its way into an X-Men comic book. And, the X-Men has been the book that always brings up social injustices.
Well, I think here, let's jump in.
Break this down.
You just talk the entire time, Imran. Great. I'm glad for the recap. Let's separate the argument here. I don't think any of us know enough about what's going on in Indonesia to even speak about it.
Right.
I'm just assuming. But what the real question is is an artist allowed to draw or make a political statement without asking anybody in his art for like a commercial company? I think that's the real question is what did he cross a line here?
Of course, but I'm sure people do it.
Right.
All the time. Just they don't get caught.
Yeah, this dude.
I'm sure it gets. Even back in the
Disney
day.
movies?
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I was gonna say. You see those animators drawing penises in the back of Little Mermaid as castles. I mean, it's just crazy because like there's different translations of this, and I've read the Quran, and like I don't take it literally, but just like fundamentalists who read the Bible that
didn't these articles confirm that that's what he was going for?
Probably was, because in Indonesia, I believe the Jews and Christians are minorities, so it's a little bit of like minority oppression the other way.
Do we all agree he fucked up?
Yeah. Oh yeah. He fucked up and he got caught, and that's just crazy. Now, do you think this book will be collectors and will it increase in value? And I wish I had bought it. I wonder if I can still find it.
I did not buy it, but I could probably get a copy of it.
I would assume it would. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be this $200 book all of a sudden, but I would assume it would increase in value. I mean, it's probably all the new copies have that probably removed.
It says at the time of this writing, the hidden messages remain in the version of X-Men Gold that is available on Comixology, so you can still check it out. They also, article says this isn't the first time an artist has snuck inflammatory hidden meanings into a Marvel comic. In 2000, Marvel fired staff inker Al Milgrom after the artist was found to have added a derogatory message about then outgoing Marvel editor-in-chief Bob Harris into Universe X Spidey #1. Bob Harris is a dick. I don't know. Is that what he wrote? I don't know. But no, I thought this was a crazy story, and it did kind of come full circle from our Patreon post show. Thanks, David Zika, for posting this. Finally,
wait, one thing.
Yeah,
I would just say he probably wanted to get fired.
I can't imagine that you wouldn't think you would get fired. I mean,
that is literally just self-sabotage right there.
But it is such a harm. Like, it just says QS 551. It could stand for anything. I'm wondering how people figure that out.
He's got that, but then he's also got Kitty Pryde with the Jew and the 212.
Oh, it says jewelry right by your head too. That's right.
It's shortened to say Jew.
Okay, so there's a lot of
there's more than one or two. There's a few references that make this more suspicious than just a Quran writing.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I would have denied it. Said fuck it.
Like, no, what are you talking about? It's for a quarter. It's a coincidence. It's my favorite team, QS 551. I love them. I don't know what it is. Finally, Ruggs, you saw Ghost in the Show?
Yeah, it's playing at the Cheapy Theater.
Oh boy, that's probably the way. Give me the 2-minute review.
The $5 viewing.
Was it worth $5, Ruggs?
Was it worth $5?
Yeah.
Now this is the thing. When you go to the Cheapy Theater, they don't really have like the best equipment there. So while everybody was sitting there talking about how they were mind-blowing visuals, I did not get to see any of that. It looked like I was watching it through a garbage bag.
It's a grainy piece of shit.
Nah, it was like so dim and it looked like shit. But I tried to complain, but they're like, "You're at a $5 movie theater. What are you gonna do, douchebag?" So anyway, so I can only judge it on the viewing that I saw. Was it the worst movie I've ever seen? Piece of garbage? No. Was it great? No.
Okay.
Basically what the deal is that if you know anything about the anime and you know anything about the manga, basically the story doesn't center around the major figuring out who she is. All right? She knows who she is, I guess, or it's not a problem at that, in the anime. It's not this big problem where it's a quest to find out who she is. That's the whole crux of this whole story.
Right.
So they're kind of veering in a whole other direction when Ghost in the Shell is basically about an AI that like kind of comes to life on its own. And the AI is trying to basically say that he's human, and then that makes her question her humanity.
Okay.
So that's a wholly different story than like, okay, I'm a human in a cyborg. Who am I? I don't know who I am. Why? That's RoboCop. They tried to make it RoboCop.
Yeah.
So they kind of like didn't really. There's a couple of things that they ripped right from the anime, but the story is not there.
They missed the point of the story. It sounds like.
Yeah. So if you were a fan of Ghost in the Shell and you went to see this movie, you're going to be like, "What the fuck? What the fuck did I just watch? I watched RoboCop."
So did they have to make her find out that she was a Japanese person before?
You know what? We said that last time that that they tacked that on.
Yeah.
I think the only thing they tacked on was that she was Japanese. All right. They would have to rewrite the whole entire story to tack that on.
Oh, okay.
Because it's all about her finding out that she was a person with different memories. You know what I mean?
Did it feel that when she was Japanese, like, oh, wait, this is kind of weird now that she's a white girl that at one time was Japanese and now she's become this ideal white girl?
Well, it makes it more like jarring. Yes, it's way more jarring where you're like find out that in this metropolis, basically what they're telling you in this is that it's the future and Japan is now the center of the universe. They don't really actually ever say it's Japan. It could be Hong Kong or whatever. It's not really Japan. Mm-hmm. And I don't think they even state that in the anime that it's Japan or Tokyo. That you're in basically the New York of the future, and it just so happens to be in Asia somewhere. And it's a melting pot. There's all different people, all different. There's like every kind of thing you can imagine. This isn't even in the anime. So, was I expecting her to have an Asian family? No, I thought that was a little jarring, but it does go along with the thing. They take your brain out and stick it in a robot. It doesn't have to look like, we can make it look like whatever you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but this is the thing. It's like, this movie was not good enough to be a blockbuster. Because it had good action sequences, but didn't have enough of them. So it's like not enough action. Like the movie was only like an hour and 40 minutes.
Oh, wow.
They could have gone 2 hours and thrown another big action sequence in there. And I don't understand where all this money got spent. I mean, I understand they used a lot of CG to create certain things, but I felt like, hey, we're missing like a big action scene here. We're missing something huge here to make this movie better.
It seems like it just falls short of what it needed.
Yeah, I mean, there was Asian characters in the movie, sprinkled throughout, but I think there was a lot of opportunities that there could have been even more. I mean, of course, Scarlett Johansson could have been an Asian character. Like, they could have made it a little bit more kind of interesting that way, but they chose not to. So the movie isn't a terrible movie. I think if you watch it and like it's on cable, you'll watch it and be like, oh, that's cool. But if you're like a Ghost in the Shell fan, they missed the mark. If you're a person that politically doesn't like this movie, you're not going to like it. It's not going to change your mind. So it's pretty much a missed opportunity. Is it the worst movie ever? No, I say I gave it like a C or something.
Okay.
C plus. If it had that extra action sequence that was really great, or a little bit more interesting stuff going on, because basically what happens is she finds out. I'm going to spoil the whole thing.
Okay, here we go.
Spoiler alert. I've already spoiled everything, but the point is that the movie is about that she finds out that everybody's been lying to her the whole time. The people who created her and this other guy that was like the prototype before her finds her, and she realizes that they were friends. And that's none of that's ever in Ghost in the Shell. That's all.
Oh, that's added. Okay.
So the whole story is based on shit that's not even in the anime.
Oh boy.
And it's just like really menial shit like that's in every movie. So you have Ghost in the Shell. It's about hacking and artificial intelligence, and whether you're still, if your brain is sitting there talking to a computer, are you still human? Like, those are the things that are spiritual about that. And
did they simplify? It sounds like they simplified a lot of things.
Yeah, they just made it like
dumbed it down.
They dumbed it down, made a paint by numbers movie, and all of the cool things are kind of just like on the surface. They're not really, they're glossed over too much.
Regarding the whitewashing controversy, what I found interesting is, Anthony, that article you shared last week with Japanese Americans who had seen it, and they were like, this is kind of fucked up, right?
Well, I did listen to that thing.
Yeah.
And this is the thing that the one point that I was just like, I don't get why she said that. She was talking about how we don't understand Japanese people and how they act and what they do and blah, blah, blah. And they never hug each other. And I'm like, this mother just found out her daughter wasn't dead for 2 years, and she shows up, and
she's going to be hugging her. She's going to be hugging the shit out of her.
She hugs her. But then I was thinking, I've watched many Godzilla movies where there's hugging all the time.
Yeah, in the original, isn't there that shot where the lady is grabbing her kid and they all just get blasted?
Yeah. But I mean, like, so I'm like, why are you saying that? That's like I'm like, that's not actually true. I've seen Japanese movies where there's plenty of like emotions and people hugging and dads comforting their kids and stuff like that. I'm
So
like,
those are Japanese Americans. Ironically, according to this article from Screen Rant, actual Japanese people don't really seem to mind, and they kind of like the movie. Japanese fans have given the film 3 stars for its story, 4 for its visuals. They talked to fans. One fan about casting Scarlett Johansson. One fan, Tomoki Hirano, says she was very cool. I loved her in the Avengers, and I wanted to see this because she was in it. If they had done a Japanese live action version, they would have probably cast some silly idol girl band member. Another fan named Yuki admitted to not reading the manga, but still says Johansson is probably the best choice for the role. She quote, I heard people in the U.S. wanted an Asian actress to play her. Would that be okay if she was Asian or Asian American? Honestly, that would be worse. Someone from another Asian country pretending to be Japanese. Better to just make her character white. So Japanese people, they're cool with it. Like, what's the problem?
I don't really care about those interviews. Those are just, they can handpick those. Those are fucking bullshit.
Yeah, Imran, you can't just say Japanese people are cool if they have an interview.
I've seen a bunch of articles though, but different.
But the
Japanese
difference is that it made money. It made money in Japan.
It's doing better over there. Yeah.
So they don't. Obviously, Japan doesn't have a big problem with it if it made decent money. It made better money than it did here.
Yeah.
They're not protesting it, but you know, I don't really trust those things when you just pluck a guy out of the audience and get his opinion, and then that's the opinion of all Japanese people. Like, I don't believe that. So, I mean, look, this movie, as I said, they were fucked. They fucked themselves big time.
They're damned if they do, damned if they don't.
Yeah, because if they put Scarlett Johansson in this movie to put people in, to get people to say, oh, hey, she's half naked in a movie. Let me go watch this.
Does she look great though in that white suit?
She does. She looks good. I mean, she does a good job. People were talking about her acting not being good and everything, but I thought she did great. It's just that, you know,
it's a bad movie.
They didn't stick to the source material. They didn't have enough action for an action movie. And I'm wondering where all this money got spent.
Well, look, thanks for saving me the hour 40. Like, would you even recommend this to anybody?
I mean, I'm gonna watch it again when it comes out on DVD, so I could see it in its the way it's meant to be seen, because I don't feel like I got a good view of it. It got like it looked like shit on screen. So I want to see these visuals that everybody's talking about. But
all right, well, thanks for the review, Anthony. Does this make you want to watch this movie at all at any point?
No, not at all. I will just say this. I mean, regardless of how much of an effect the outcry for her being an Asian actress was,
right, or not being Asian,
Asian, they might have been right. I mean, this movie's failing at the box office. It's a movie that's, I think, under 50% on Rotten Tomatoes. So it's not even worth talking about anymore.
Right.
It's a movie. It's a bust. The movie's a bust. They fucked up. They made the wrong choice.
The whole
who knows if casting an Asian would have been better or worse? But what they did with this particular product didn't work. So that's a failure.
And they might think twice now next time.
They fucked over the fans.
Yeah.
Because they didn't give them the fans the movie that they wanted to see. They had a lot of controversy, which was negative press.
That didn't help. Yeah.
And, you know, that's that. And not only that, but it's not even that great of a movie.
So it's a number of things. It wasn't just the fault of
I don't think it's the fault of the.
No.
I mean, that's definitely a fact. When you have negative press coming into a movie, you're already going to segment the audience that like is strongly for, you know, the very liberal left. They're not going to be against for watching this movie.
They're not even going to give it a chance.
And then on top of that, you make, as Rugboy said, a not so great movie that isn't loyal to the source. But who are you even pleasing at that point?
What a bust.
All you're pleasing by doing that is you're pleasing guys that want to fucking fap in the theaters to Scarlett Johansson.
I'm pretty sure the way that this thing coalesced was that they needed something for Scarlett Johansson to do, and they just slapped this into her hands.
Yeah, they had this,
and that was that. They were like, okay, we need another. Lucy did well. We need another action vehicle for you, where you're the star, and we have this floating around. Let's give her that. And they didn't realize that they were going to fuck themselves by doing that.
What?
And I think Hollywood, although I think they're getting better at this, I think that sometimes they still fall upon the trap that having an A-list actor or actress in a movie is going to draw people. And that hasn't been the case for a long time, except for a very small amount of actors or actresses.
I don't think
I think Leo might be one of the only guys.
Yeah.
That can legitimately you'll go see
Tom
a movie
Hanks.
for Leo.
Tom Hanks used to be like
Tom
that.
Hanks maybe.
He used to be.
Will Smith used to be like that. He's not like that.
The Rock.
Ryan Reynolds wasn't like that. The Rock might
Kind
be like
of,
that.
yeah.
Kind of like it's not like the days when it was
You
like
had
the
Bruce
80s
Willis.
when you had
Remember you had Bruce
Stallone
Willis.
or Willis
Yep.
or what's his name, Schwarzenegger. Like that's gone. Like people aren't going to the movies just to see a name.
No, that's crazy. And I don't think this will really hurt ScarJo's career moving forward.
No.
Because she's made bombs like Lucy and shit and come back. All thanks to Marvel Studios. They'll keep her floating.
Oh, absolutely.
All right. Well, thanks for the review, Ruggs. Thanks for taking the bullet, saving us some time watching the movie. That's it. We're going to play a couple of fun promos, and we're going to talk about the Iron Fist.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Hey there, everyone. My name's Carlos.
And I'm Joe.
Are you wondering what Captain America has to say about fascism, what the Iron Giant has to do with communism, or whether or not George Bush is the real Batman?
Well, you are now. Have all your newfound questions answered on Thunder Smash, as Carlos and I, and a parade of guests, dive into the nitty-gritty of your favorite nerdy stories to find out what they have to say about life's big philosophies and ideas.
You can hear it all on www.thundersmash.com.
See you there.
Hey, my name is Paul, and I'm not an animal expert.
I'm Donna, and I'm not an animal expert either.
And together we do a podcast about animals called Varmints.
Every week, we pick an animal, do a bunch of research on it, and bring you some interesting facts about that animal.
But we don't stop there. We talk about that animal in movies, TV, and other pop culture.
And we talk about whether or not the animal would make a tasty dish, and how intelligent we think that animal is on a scale of 1 to 10.
It's exactly like one of those fancy PBS nature documentaries.
Except not at all like that really in any way.
We're on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts from, and we're at blazingcariboustudios.com.
Forgive the interruption, but I believe this requires your attention.
If you ever believed Captain America was on the U.S. Olympic soccer team.
If you ever thought that the Winter Soldier was that brace yourselves guy on the internet.
And if you ever wondered just what would a raccoon do with a machine gun.
Then don't let another week pass you by without tuning into
Mighty Marvel Geeks.
Mighty Marvel Geeks is your show about all things Marvel.
With news, rumors, commentary, and interviews.
As well as our weekly recommendations on what to pick up on New Comic Book Day.
Official consulting hours are between 8 and 5 every other Thursday.
That's Mighty Marvel Geeks on WeebieGeeks.net, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and anywhere else you listen to podcasts.
The Jock and Nerd Podcast.
Hey, listener, we have a fan club over on Patreon. If you visit jockandnerd.com/Patreon, you can help us out, support the show for a low monthly pledge. You get an RSS feed that gives you access to an awesome, private, exclusive Jock and Nerd bonus podcast. Where there's post shows, there's instant reactions, bunch of fun stuff, hours of extra audio. And I got a shout out to our buddy Matt Tellhauer, who was on the last show, who at the very end of the show pulled the trigger and became a patron of ours, joined the fan club, which is so awesome. He's finally giving back to the show. Well, look, he comes on the show and he gives a lot, and now he's giving actual money. I can't thank Tellhauer enough. So I just want to, every time we get a new one, I want to take a moment to thank everyone by name who supports us, like David Zika. Visit his eBay store, Zika's Viral Comics, Jimmy McPike, Jesse Looney, Ronald Hans, Adam Morris, David Molofsky of A Place to Hang Your Cape, and Philip Milan. And if you don't want to do like a recurring thing, which is what the Patreon is, you can send a one-time donation like our buddy listener Brett Zafka. I don't know. I still don't know how to say his last name. There's too many consonants. Sorry, Brett. But thanks for your donation, pal.
I miss Jesse Looney. I haven't talked to him in a while.
Jesse Looney, volunteer firefighter. I wonder what he's been up to. He was he found us on Blab Lots of fun.
Is this card declining though?
It may be. Jesse Looney, you may want to look into that.
Shit.
Just check the number. Check maybe you don't know. Look, sometimes these things expire. You don't know. He's still on there. He's been down there like the longest too. So I'm glad you brought that up, Anthony. It wasn't awkward at all. Okay, let's move on. We are gonna.
I don't think you get to be a Patreon donor when your card declines.
That's a good point.
You don't get to be recognized.
You have 30 days, Jesse Looney, and then we're gonna kick you off the thing. Look, let's move on to our review of the newest Marvel property on Netflix, season 1 of Iron Fist. And let me just issue this.
Strap yourselves in, you fucks. Spoiler time.
This show, before it even came out, the minute Finn Jones was cast, came under controversy. So it all started from there. The kind of also a Ghost in the Shell, this whitewashing thing continued with the show. Then there was bad reviews of the show. The Iron Fist, of course, let's talk about him in the comic books for a second. First created 1974, first appearance, Marvel premiere number 15, created by Roy Thomas and Gil Kane. The awesome Gil Kane. The show stars Finn Jones he's from Game of Thrones, correct, guys?
Yeah.
As Danny Rand, you got Jessica Henwick as Colleen Wing, Jessica Stroop, David Wenham playing Harold Meacham.
Jessica Henwick from Game of Thrones and was in Star Wars.
Oh, Jessica Henwick was in Star Wars? Oh, I didn't know that. Tom Pelphrey as Ward Meacham, Rosario Dawson playing Claire Temple, and a couple other dudes. We'll mention them when we get to there.
Don't forget about what's Carrie Ann Moss.
Carrie Ann Moss makes an appearance as Jerry Hogarth.
And whoever that actress is playing Madame Gao.
Madame Gao, her name is, you got Sasha Dewan as Davos. And where the hell's Gao? She's great. And her name is Wai Ching Ho.
Okay.
Giving us an Asian baddie. Like
Watching Ho. Okay. Cool.
Watching Ho. Wai Ching Ho. On Rotten Tomatoes, guys, this thing has a 17%.
Whoa.
Score. Yeah, a little bit. However, the first episode was the most binged drama premiere that any show on Netflix has gotten. For this year for Netflix drama, 54.7% of Iron Fist streams on the premiere date were of episodes 3 or higher. The average hour-long show on Netflix has a binge score of 46.9. So despite all the critics and everything, people were excited when this came out. And even like I said, like my wife, I started watching with her. She doesn't watch these things. She kind of got sucked in while we started watching it. So I thought that was interesting.
Let's do like opening thoughts.
Yeah. Well, Anthony, here's the thing. I spent all day trying to remember what the fuck happened on the show because I watched it when it first came out almost a month ago.
Before even opening thoughts, I remember we've done this with the Netflix shows prior. Is how long did it take each of us to watch? So let's start with that. How long did it take you, Imran?
Oh, God. This took me longer than the other ones. I will say, I'm going to say it took me like 4 to 5 days.
All right.
I was kind of doing 1 or 2 at a time.
What about you, Ruggs?
I tried to watch it fast because Imran always watches it so fast. So I tried to keep up with him. So I think it took me like a week.
You were beating me at watching it. Yeah.
I didn't start for like 2 weeks. I think I don't even remember now how long this has been since it came out, but it took me about a little over a week too. I was probably doing an episode or 2 a night. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely wasn't as compelled. I kind of was. Opening thoughts of the fourth hero.
Start, Imran.
Guy who will complete the Defenders. Okay, I'll go first. From what I can remember, this is clearly it's the weakest one of all the Netflix series. Let's just start out by saying that it has good points. I liked a lot of the themes that they barely kind of started throwing in there. As far as, every other, like Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Daredevil, they kind of had this slump in the middle. Like if you were to draw the excitement on a curve, it would start and then it would kind of dip in the middle and then kind of rise at the end. This one to me had a reverse bell curve. Like it was so slow in the beginning, but I felt like it was ramping up towards the middle, toward about episode 8, 9, and then to me, it just went back down in terms of content and writing and things kind of making sense. Like, to me, this thing kind of peaked in the middle in terms of momentum and keeping me interested. I think the supporting cast was great. The main guy, not so much. And I'm glad we got through this on the road to Defenders, because you kind of had to watch the others to pick up the pieces here. But ultimately, wow, I was really surprised and a little disappointed at the first season of Iron Fist here.
Yeah, no way makes Iron Fist cool. It's like
it failed at that. Yes,
Iron Fist should be the coolest motherfucker, like, doing kung fu ever, and that's not what this series was. And that's the unfortunate thing, because as much as the writing is terrible, and the guy who's acting as Danny Rand can act like bitchy, and the way he's written is bitchy, you would have forgiven all of that if they had, like, the fight scenes, like, on the quality level of Into the Badlands.
Correct.
Where they fucking have their shit together on that show.
And that's surprising that the martial arts on Into the Badlands on AMC is way better than anything in this show.
Shit.
That shouldn't be like that.
Yeah. So that's basically where I came away with it. I was like, I didn't really care, like, because, after watching Luke Cage, and that was the slowest shit thing that went on as well. That was, like, very slow moving. So I was already prepared for the, like, the slowness and the burn and whatever. It was just the disappointment in the character, the actor, and the fighting that just kind of, like, made me, like, not want to watch the show as much. I was like, this is not what I expected. I wanted more. And so I was just like, just trudging through the shows, hoping that, maybe it would get better.
Right.
So,
but instead, I found myself saying over and over again, that don't make no sense. Wait, what? That don't make no sense. And I was like, okay, whatever. Clearly, they don't know either. Anthony, you saw this the most recently. It's most freshest in your mind. What are your overall opening thoughts there?
So I'll do the opening thoughts, and then I'll end it with something that needs to be discussed.
Okay.
As our first kind of topic on
Alrighty.
the show. So inevitably, I waited 2 weeks, so I saw all the reviews. I kind of heard what you guys were thinking. I heard what other people that I respect the opinions of were thinking. So even though I like to think I can make my own decisions, and sometimes I can and sometimes I can't, I'd like to think I could come in with an unbiased opinion, but it obviously will affect me.
Yeah.
I had a negative kind of feel coming into this show. That being said, every episode, I never was like hate watching the show. I never felt like it was like a chore for me to watch. Like, legitimately, at the end of each episode, if it wasn't too late, I would have wanted to watch another episode. So it had that going for it. There was a plot that kept me intrigued.
It had good cliffhanger
season.
endings too. I did like that, because it was that want that button.
I don't even know. I don't even
know
know if it was the cliffhanger endings or like the completist in me to finish everything. But I enjoyed that. Some of the supporting characters I kind of liked. I liked Colleen Wing. I liked Ward Meacham. I liked the Madame Gao, Davos. Like, some of the characters I really liked. The problem for me with this show, and despite the whitewashing and all that controversy, is I think the fact that Finn Jones just wasn't good. And it's not only Finn Jones as an actor, it's Finn Jones as an actor. It's the writing of his character.
Yeah.
And it's the fight scenes involving Finn Jones. All three of those things were supremely mishandled and kind of felt low budget in terms of fight scenes. And I think that's what I want to get into is I feel like this guy, Finn Jones as Danny Rand, fucked up the show. The not only him, but like I said, the writing, the way they wrote the guy is a fucking dweeb. Like, he comes off as just this is supposed to be a living weapon, like the baddest man on the planet, basically, a human living weapon. And the guy's built like a fucking wet noodle. Like, I don't understand why that guy didn't get in the gym. Like, I know that you don't have to be like this supremely buff guy, but like, if I threw on Charlie Cox as Daredevil, and I'm like, Charlie Cox, you just did this with Charlie Cox, and look how great he looks.
Yeah.
And I know that, like, with the fight scenes, you have the advantage with Charlie Cox of just putting another guy in a mask, and it's a lot harder to find a guy that looks like Finn Jones. So I understand that, but there's no physical presence to Finn Jones whatsoever.
Yeah, he's doughy.
I
he's
agree
not
with
cut.
that 100%.
Yeah, he's so skinny that it bothered me. Now, okay,
like when he takes off his shirt,
yeah,
it looks
It's
like
not
his. And I
impressive
don't
at
have
all.
a huge waist,
Yes.
but his waist looks like it's a 26 around.
It's so.
And when he's
tiny.
going sleeveless in that RZA directed episode,
Yeah.
I am like, golly, that looks like noodles. Like, what is going on?
I
with
just
this
need
guy?
to do a little bit of weightlifting. Like, you could have got a little more tone for this. Now, okay, so there's so many aspects.
But there's so
to
many
this.
aspects to this, and not just his physical.
Yeah,
presence.
so
Let's
let's
get into
start.
him.
Let's start
Well,
first.
you need a star to concentrate on.
Like,
You
right.
don't have a guy that has star power that you feel like, that you're into. Like, the whole thing falls apart.
So my point is that Marvel is usually they're dead on with their casting. They really haven't screwed up a casting yet. So whether Finn Jones is a good enough actor to do this, we don't know because of what he was given. Now,
See, I would disagree.
well, look,
I think a better actor could have pulled off what he was given.
But what if a better actor? What if you're not given a lot of time? Because what it sounds like is a lot of this.
I'm
was rushed.
not talking about fight scenes. I'm talking about acting. There's a way to come off like you're like funny and like fish out of water, and there's a way to come off where you're just a brat and kind of a dweeb, and he comes off as the liar.
Well, that's partly writing too, because how many times can you have him say, "I'm the Iron Fist"?
I'm the Iron
He says it a
Fist.
lot. Like, he says it a lot. It's annoying.
I think a lot. I think a lot of that is the writing, and he may have done the best. Like, do you feel like we've talked about? I've heard from a lot of people now. They're like, in defense of how he acted, is that when he was abandoned at 10 in Kunlun, he was emotionally stunted, and he plays Danny Rand like an angry teen, like an emotional, irrational, angry teen, which is kind of annoying and frustrating. But if you think about it that way, like, that's kind of an interesting choice. But maybe he doesn't pull it off completely.
Yeah, I mean, look, he might be 10 years old in his soul or whatever, but like, he's just been in the place where he has to be so disciplined and focus all of his chi and everything. So now for him to get rattled by just stupid shit, like a little kid, it doesn't make sense.
Regarding the physicality of the fight scenes, in an interview with Metro, Finn Jones revealed, when I first moved over to New York, before I started actually filming, I had 3 weeks of very intense martial arts and weight training preparation. But then, unfortunately, once the show started, the filming schedule was just so tight. I was working 14 hours every day, 6 days a week, days into nights, nights into days. And actually, my schedule didn't allow me to continue the training as much as I really hoped. He goes on to explain that he'd be in the gym on days off, and he was learning the fight scenes 15 minutes before we actually shot them. So, and I feel like they didn't give enough rehearsal time or training time, and the back half just feels rushed in terms of writing and the show in general.
It's Marvel's fuck up. They shouldn't have hired him.
That's that, and it's also Marvel's. I think that speaks to just how like much of an afterthought this show kind of was
Yes,
for Marvel.
yes.
It seems
Yes.
like this show, and I'm stealing this, but it's from Fat Man on Batman. I think what's his name?
Mark Bernardin.
Mark Bernardin compares this to the fourth movie of the Planet of the Apes, where they just went straight low budget.
Oh,
where there's like there's 3 apes in the whole entire Planet of the Apes movie, and that's what this feels like. Is they just rushed this because they wanted to get this out because they needed to make Defenders, and what the fight scenes got like a little better throughout, and there were some that were okay, but like when that first fight scene hits, where he's in the hotel and he like takes out the 3 or 4 security guards, I literally is like, I cannot believe that this made it on air. Like it was that, like it was in such slow motion and edited so poorly that I was like, I can't believe this. I can't believe, I know that they're trying to go for that, like he's this Zen guy that like can just move out of the way and does it all so smoothly, but it did not come off like that at all. And right away, like if that's the first fight scene, that set the entire tone for the series.
Now you have to be able to sell it. You have to sell it.
I agree.
And he did not sell it. It's crazy that what they did in the show is that as the season goes on, they just lean on that stunt guy and they put him in the dark all the time.
Yeah, if you notice, this is how you know the fight scenes are shitty, is when it's always raining and it's shot from far away and it's dark.
And he's got that hood on.
And he's got the hood on. And did you also see the when also how you know a fight scene is bad is when there's fucking 1,000 cuts in a 30-second sequence. I'll have a link. I'll put it in the show notes.
There was 56.
56 cuts in this 35-second sequence. It's the fight scene where he goes to get his X-rays in that room, and that dude is there, and he's trying to burn all the paperwork in the hospital. That 35-second fight scene, like, if you watch it, I'm surprised. Like, it gave me a headache. It was cutting so much that it was just hilarious.
Well, it's a failure on It's a failure on the production staff. It's a failure on the stunt coordinator and Finn Jones for sure. But it's also fair. I've seen videos online where they re-edit some of these fight scenes, and they look a lot better. The editing is terrible.
Yeah, I also have
a lot of these. A lot of these have such like great editing can fix a shitty fight, like a shitty fight scene.
Absolutely.
Or stunt choreography. They had literally none of it. None of it going for at least the first few fights. I think they kind of got it a little better towards the end, but it wasn't like, I remember asking Ruggs, like, what did this show need to be? And Ruggs, like, right away, it's like, this needs to be like the fight choreography show.
Yep.
Like, this is the kung fu show. It should be that. That's what we need to see. And we were severely disappointed. And that's the thing. Like, if Finn Jones, if he acted like this the entire time, but the fight scenes were amazing,
yes,
I think a lot of us would have forgiven it.
Absolutely. If there was badass fight scenes, like I have another link I'll put in the show notes. One of my favorite fight scenes was the drunken kung fu master fight scene. Was so much fun. That was really awesome. But this dude like re-edited the scene, and he does kind of improve it through just simple editing. But that was one of the highlights, was the drunken kung fu fighting.
That guy was in the running to actually play Iron Fist.
Yep.
I think he would have made an interesting Iron Fist. He's definitely a better fucking martial arts dude.
That guy, so Joe from work, was like, there's one fight scene in this show that's the best one of the entire show. I'm like, okay, which one's it going to be? And then I saw that, and I literally was like,
that's it.
That's got to be the best
That's
one.
the one.
That guy in what, maybe 5 minutes of camera time stole the show.
He stole the show. I think Colleen Wing stole the show. Her fight
Colleen
scenes
was
were
solid,
badass.
but I'm saying like, his charisma on screen was like you're like, I want to watch that guy fight.
Yes.
I don't want to watch Danny Rand, Mr. It is my destiny to destroy the hand.
Oh my God. Look, Mark Bernardin also on Fat Man on Batman, he put it well. He's like, you have to look at this in three parts: story, performance, martial arts. And he's like, they failed on all three of these aspects in the show. Like, you need one of those things to be good to save it, and they were all half-assed. Any other highlights in terms of what you guys liked? Any other fight scenes?
Well, I like the whole thing with Colleen Wing and her fighting in the cage against the two guys. I liked Danny Rand going to the hand and then doing like that little video game part where he beats all the bosses.
The tournament, yeah, and you see some comic book characters in there.
But then everything after that kind of sucks, and so I mean and then you have that the worst, that whole drunken thing. I couldn't even watch it because the whole drunken master thing. Because I'm like, are they really just using like a empty lot as whatever they were supposed to go? Where were they?
By the way, wasn't that
they were in
supposed
China?
Yeah,
China?
They go to China and it looks like fucking Queens.
Oh,
I'm like, you're not in
Like,
fucking China,
you
dude.
gotta be kidding me.
You guys are up in Queens, so you're in the Bronx.
I just couldn't concentrate. I'm like, are you fucking shitting me?
Yeah, where is this?
Oh my God.
And the worst fake snow I've ever seen on television. That really bothered me. Sorry.
This is before we can devolve, and
Sorry,
there's a lot
positives,
to complain about.
Positives. Yes.
But yeah, so like the fight scenes, some of those things were cool. But other than that, it was Claire Temple was great.
Claire Temple is really good. I
like seeing her training and getting little Wolverine claws.
She is like, her acting ability is just like above everybody in this show, and it's so obvious, like that she's just so good.
I can name a couple things I like.
Okay.
I'll agree with you. I know you, Imran, was hyping it, and I agree. Ward Meacham's like evolution.
His story arc is great.
His story arc was good. I really liked.
He didn't know where he was going to go.
No, and that's clear like character changes because of situation. Like that's storytelling 101.
Yeah, good character development. Yeah.
Colleen Wing, I thought was very solid. She fights better than fucking Danny Rand.
Absolutely.
Which I'll have more to say on. I liked Rosario Dawson. I didn't think she was as needed in this show. I felt like she was just in it. But we can get into stuff like that. Yeah. The drunken guy was funny. I thought the plot was okay. That's what kind of kept me in the show, was figuring out what was going to happen. Madame Gao was legit awesome.
Yeah,
I thought her screen presence, whoever Ho Chi Wing or whatever.
Wai Ching Ho. Ho Chi Wing. Get it all backwards.
Wai Ching Ho.
Wai Ching Ho. Why not?
She was good. She was very good on screen. And then Davos was solid.
I love Davos.
I like Davos.
Yeah, he's fun.
And as far as fight scenes, the RZA directed episode was okay.
Yeah.
Like the bosses.
The tournament.
Yeah. The drunken fight was good. And then the Kathleen fight with Bakudo, where she like kicks the sword into his knee.
That's
like,
bad.
That was cool.
Badass.
And I'll throw in also Bakudo was a very solid, like the way he was played was like very solid. I thought like his demeanor.
Even though he like just comes out of nowhere. But yeah.
What were you going to say, Ruggs?
I think he was miscast. I mean, I like the actor. He did a good job.
Ramon Rodriguez.
Yeah, but like, I mean, Bakudo, let it be the guy. Take the guy that was in it for 2 seconds as a drunken master.
Like with a name like
a major part.
You'd think with a name like Bakudo that he'd be a fucking Japanese guy.
Yeah,
I don't understand why his name is Bakudo.
Well, I will say I made this comment to Imran in our where we work. I was like, I don't understand why this show has like all the most badass people in the world are like under 5'9" and like weigh 130 pounds.
They're all
like,
tiny.
look at like Bakudo, Danny Rand, fucking Davos.
Yeah.
Why are they all these skinny dudes? Like I understand, like I get that skinny dudes can fight, but like why are they all like this? This doesn't believe. I'm not believing that these are the baddest men on the planet.
You want one of them to be at least kind of a.
And Madame Gao is like one of the strongest people. And she's like 85 years old.
She got to use her powers a little bit. I thought she could use them more, but yeah, you're like there. You needed a guy with stature in this. I liked a lot of the themes, like. When Danny Rand's trying to figure out, am I Danny Rand? Am I the Iron Fist? Can I be both things? I thought that was interesting. The Meachams' relationship with their father, and I just felt for fucking Ward the whole time because his dad is such a fucking psycho dick. You start from hating this character to like kind of rooting for him and getting on his side, and for a show to do that, I think that's a win for the guy and the character.
It's just so weird that like Ward had like a drug problem, and then he didn't have a drug problem, and it just was crazy. It's just a weird show.
I'll throw in that the show being connected to Marvel, just in general, like kind of elevates it just a little because you're like, oh, this is playing in the same sandbox as Defenders, so that makes it a little more fun.
I appreciate all the Easter eggs and the references to Karen Page and Jessica Jones and Daredevil, Luke Cage, like all of them were mentioned in some fashion. Davos making those aluminum foil stars kind of made me laugh, but that was pretty badass. I'm like, really? Okay. Aluminum foil. But I like the footage from the 40s where you saw that dude with the Iron Fist costume and he had 2 Iron Fists.
Yeah.
I was like, get that guy in the show. Where the fuck is this guy?
His feet should be iron too.
All 4. I got Iron Fists and Iron Feet.
Every time someone brings up a point, even myself, I have like a rebuttal of like a complaint that I can think of. So I have like so many things I want to like vent on.
I was with Davos in the sense that I liked that he was pissed because he was supposed to be the Iron Fist, and this fucking white guy gets it and then leaves Kunlun. And the whole time I'm like, Davos is right. Danny Rand is a bad Iron Fist.
Davos was written well. Like the best villains are the villains that you can kind of be like, I could justify, like you could justify why he thinks he's right.
Right.
And Davos is definitely along that
his
path.
Point.
He's along the Loki path where it's like spurned brother that like thinks that this should have been his destiny.
Yeah.
Like Loki's on that path. Like what's his face from Doctor Strange?
Oh yeah, Mordo.
Mordo's on that same path. It's like that's always going to work.
It's always very compelling. I like that it started with an Outkast song and like 90s hip hop.
Yeah.
That was fun. But then the music was also weird, but we'll get into that when we get to nitpicks. Anything else, Ruggs? Any other highlights?
Highlights?
I'm trying to think of what else I liked.
The only thing that I really liked about this show, as I said, is Colleen Wing.
Yeah.
And that's basically it. And some of the fight scenes were towards the end when he explodes the building. with his iron fist, and some of that when Bakudo fight scene with Colleen, that was cool in the rain, so like there's some things that are okay, but overall, there's not much to say.
But Anthony, I'm like you too. Like all these highlights, I'm thinking of negative things about him now. Because, oh man, should we just get to the nitpicky?
Yeah, where do you want to start?
Oh boy,
do you want it to
sprinkled?
Yeah.
Well, we've talked about Danny Rand. Another thing that I really was kind of like, this kind of sucks, is the Marvel shows up to this point. Luke Cage kind of like went off the cliff a little bit, but they've always had like a strong villain.
Yeah.
And like this one just could not fucking decide who they wanted their villain to be. Like it was Madame Gao, then it was Bakudo, and then it was Harold Meacham.
Yeah.
Maybe it was all three.
Yeah.
Like it never had that villain that you could be like, okay, I'm really like Madame Gao probably was the best, but it's really hard to hate an old lady.
I know. I mean, I thought Harold.
It's really hard to be like, I want Danny Rand to kick her ass.
I want her to stab her in the heart.
Well, it was confusing too because they're like, I'm the hand. No, I'm the hand. But we're the good hand. You're the bad hand.
Oh my God, the end of it. So my main complaint is like, what was the show about? Like even if you look at the opening credits, which I like the opening credits stylistically.
Oh, the opening credits were really good.
The black goo, but thematically, think about Daredevil is showing you the blood dripping into the streets of Hell's Kitchen and crime. You have Jessica Jones where she's walking down New York and her demons and her past are messing with her. You got Luke Cage where it's him, but then you got Harlem and the city over. And so you have all these themes. What do you got in Iron Fist? You got a guy doing kung fu. And we barely even get that in the show. Like what was this show about? It didn't seem to know what exactly it wanted to be about. Because it starts with him. He wants his company, that he doesn't want the company, that he doesn't want to be the Iron Fist, that he wants to be the Iron Fist. Like, why did he leave at the end if he wanted to come back and take over the company again? I'm not sure. And the second half, so when Harold Meacham, when he comes back to life, that to me, that point on the rest, the show just goes downhill. The writing's like really muddy and a lot of things don't make sense. And Colleen Wing being the good hand and the bad hand, I don't know. It was a mess. It was a mess.
See, what I would have liked to see is, okay, Danny Rand comes to New York. He shirks his responsibilities as the guardian of Kunlun. And he comes to New York to find out who he is. And maybe he spends a couple of days there and figures it out, blah, blah, blah. And, has a couple of run-ins with some hand or whatever. And then Davos shows up and says, hey, we need you to come back to Kunlun. And then you go to Kunlun for a while. And you change the whole scenery. You're not just doing, like, they never show Kunlun at all. Yeah. And maybe they're saving it. But, like, where is all that? That's what the whole thing about, like, Iron Fist is. It's like you want to see like how he got these powers, the dragon and all that shit.
All we saw was like him getting beaten by sticks a little bit, but that was another thing. I was waiting for them to show me the training in Kunlun. Show me Kunlun. Clearly it's a budgetary thing because the snow looked like shit and even the cave walls look like shit.
You definitely needed more you needed a lot more Kunlun because you never are able to relate to what Danny is talking about.
What he went
you
through.
Never see it or what he went through because you never see it. And you're only told it over and over and over again by Danny. And Danny looks like a fucking dweeb. So you're like, I don't know what the fuck. Like you needed every episode or every part of these Netflix shows. They've always had like a flashback episode.
Yeah.
Like Daredevil had it. Luke Cage had it where he looks ridiculous in the suit. Jessica Jones, I even think, had it. You never got that with this show, and you never were like understanding what Kunlun what even it was. So then, like, spoiler alert, but like by the end, when he climbs up and it ends, and he's like looking out and he's like, Kunlun's gone. I didn't even realize what I was looking at because I'd never even seen Kunlun. So I didn't know that anything was missing.
Absolutely.
I thought he was just looking off the top of a mountain.
I've full agreement because I was like, what are you looking at? I'm like, of course it's gone. They don't have fucking money to put it in. Otherwise we would have seen it. All we got was glowy eyes of a dragon.
That to me screams that like this show, they spent all their money on everything else.
They didn't budget for it. They did not budget for this. You're absolutely right.
That stuff and the terrible, like, first off, I don't even know why they needed to write in that she went to China, Madame Gao, if they didn't have the budget to do an establishing shot of like Hong Kong.
Well,
like
yeah.
why, if it's going to be that bad, just write something else where she doesn't have to go to China instead of like filming on the docks in where is it, Queens?
No, but I think they needed all of them to be on a plane so that he could fucking freak out and they could get down.
If
to
I
the thing.
see his mom get sucked out of a plane one more time, I might shoot myself.
That was the flashback. That was what they kept showing you was the whole plane crash and the same shit over and over again. And then, at one point it hampers his chi and he can't like fucking charge up or whatever.
I hate that too. I hated that whole the chi impotence. Like I didn't like that.
I was like, why?
His chi, his like libido.
Yeah,
He had no chi.
Yeah, and I was like, why? How does this work? Why? How do you charge up? I thought he showed you how to charge up.
Where's Danny? Oh, he's upstairs recharging.
He's charging his chi.
Are you like what?
Here's the thing.
Like you never hear. No, here's the thing. The show is called fucking Iron Fist, and I know like every Netflix show is like that slow build. So you know what you're getting into, but like you never ever see him ever do anything cool as the Iron Fist. The only thing you got was him punching the
ground,
which was cool. That was the coolest thing. But you never like you don't even understand like what the Iron Fist is. It's never really explained. It's never like, and then like, what's the point of showing that flashback scene in the 40s where the guy has two Iron Fists and he's knocking everybody out? If you're not going to at least give that moment to Danny Rand.
That's what I wanted to see.
You get a huge cock tease.
That's what we wanted to
never
see.
Happens.
Like this show was so weird. Episode 4 had like your hallway battle, but I was like, I didn't know it was happening. I was like, was that it? Was that the fucking hallway battle? It was so fucking lackluster. And even when he uses his Iron Fist at the end in the big, and it's not even in the last episode, it's in the second to last, where I was like, I guess that's cool. I wanted more, and it felt tacked on like that. It didn't even impress me.
And they never there's no costume in this.
He said that he's not going to have a costume for a while.
They should, because they should rethink that right now.
Yes.
Because you put a mask on him, then you got a stunt man that you don't have to hide.
Yes.
So let's get the fucking mask on him already.
Also, if Bakudo is showing him how to like use his powers to heal Colleen, like how shitty was his training? Like he's a fucking shitty Iron Fist. He doesn't know half the shit he can do. Like, did you not fucking read the rest of the book?
How does he get to be the Iron Fist?
He doesn't know how to do any of these. He doesn't know how to do any of these things.
Well, the worst thing too about how he's like written is like, I'm pretty sure I can assume that you guys both knew that Harold Meacham was a bad guy. Like everyone knows it.
Yeah.
Like every character, even Joy, when she first meets him, is always giving him these weird looks. Like, what the fuck is up with you, Dad?
Yeah.
Like everyone knows that he's a terrible person. Danny Rand, who's the main character who we're supposed to rally behind and really like, is such a fucking dweeb and is written so stupidly that he doesn't realize until the last goddamn episode that Harold Meacham's a bad guy.
But he would kind of be trusting. He doesn't know, and he's fucking stunted emotionally.
Why are you defending that? That is the main character of a show in 13 episodes that doesn't realize what the audience knows the entire time that Harold Meacham sucks.
But what's worse is they did that for like the first 5-6 episodes. You're waiting for them to find out what the audience already knows, and it's dragged out, it's so annoying, and it's so slow. They did that a lot in this show, and they just got really fucking annoying.
They touched on like in the first like 2 or 3 when he's in the psych ward.
Yes,
and he has the passport that says like
John Anderson. Yeah.
They kind of touched on like this like, well, it could be this like show where. Is this real?
Yes.
Is he really the Iron Fist? Like sort of like a Moon Knight vibe?
Yep.
But they quickly dropped.
No, they barely. I agree. Like there was like little bits of like glimmer of like, oh, this would be cool to explore, and then they just fucking
like, is he actually insane or is he really the Iron Fist?
A lot like Legion. Like, am I crazy? Am I schizophrenic, or do I have powers? Like, what is this? Who am I?
You were asking what the show was about, and it's literally like I was thinking about
what
this.
is it about?
And I was like, this is literally just. We're sitting on Danny Rand's shoulder, and he's just going through life.
Just one thing after another. Yeah.
I think it's about Danny Rand getting laid for the first time.
They could have played that. They could have even played that up more. They could have fun with that. They didn't do that.
Well, okay, and then we're getting into him getting laid, which is like Colleen Wing.
Yeah.
Like even that.
I didn't buy that at all.
Well, I mean, she's great. Yeah. She's really good. But what I'm getting at is Colleen Wing, badass fighter, right?
Yeah.
Badass fighter. They portray her throughout the entire show that she can hang with him. She can take out the hand. She's willing to fight. Except I think in like episode 3 or 4, Colleen Wing and Danny Rand fight each other, and she doesn't land a single punch on him. So they literally undercut her character immediately and go, yeah, she's great. Danny's just way better. Even though like
Nobody
when they're
believes it.
no one believes it, because when they do these fight scenes, you're like, Colleen Wing, this actress moves so much more gracefully than Danny Rand ever moved than Finn Jones. So you're like, why would you undercut the character that's like the second most toughest character on the show?
She used to be in like an English kind of Power Rangers show.
Oh, really?
Where she had to do kung fu or
I
some
believe
kind of karate. It was like a kid show. So she's naturally better at this shit. Like she has experience with, doing fake karate.
Mm-hmm.
So, she totally looked better. And it was weird when they're fighting each other and you could see how bad Danny looks next to her.
I know.
It's just terrible.
It's like when they're doing the forms and the kata or whatever, I'm like, is he leading her? Like, are we serious?
Well, that
about
was
this?
the hilarious part. Is like he comes in and starts telling her how to do her kung fu and shit. Like, why would she even like him? Ugh.
Well, she's not even doing kung fu. She's doing karate because she's Japanese, right?
Yeah, she's that's like a minor nitpick of mine, but she's supposed to be Japanese, and they cast a Chinese actress. I'm like, oh, this is very typical of Hollywood. Let's just they're all the same, right?
No one's gonna know.
That was another thing that kind of like ticked me off, or like I was kind of confused. Is like I always thought the hand. I knew they were like kind of an international organization, but I thought they skewed Japanese.
Oh, yeah.
And, like,
why are the
Madame
Chinese
Gao is
working with them?
Chinese,
Yeah,
and like there's a lot of Chinese like stuff in this. I'm like, these different sectors of the hand. I guess it kind of makes sense, but I always thought the hand was ninjas, which is Japanese.
It seems like the group of writers writing the show didn't really like talk to each other a little bit, and then just were given something and had to like throw something else.
I don't know if it was that they didn't talk to one another, or that I think that they just had to write this like
really
within,
quick,
like, 3 days.
Yeah.
Like I felt like this like show was just so rushed in every aspect.
The end of it really feels rushed to me. Like on the one hand, I appreciated a lot of the twists and turns, like with Harold and the revelation about the hand, but like it just seemed so like I didn't know what it was about. What was the point of all this? Danny never has a plan for anything. That was the other thing. Danny never had any kind of plan. He's like, "Do you have a plan?" You're like, "No." So we're just gonna go.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
They continually wrote him to like just rush into things with no plan.
Let me ask you this. When Harold came back after the hand, they initially, he died of cancer, but they brought him back, and then, Ward stabs him violently and he comes out of the water, and now he realizes like he's immortal. Do you think that's going to happen to Elektra after they bring her back, that she will have like some more superpowers? Is this a hand thing?
I think so. I think it's part of I think that's how they're going to make Elektra kind of be an evil person in the Defenders. Is there's this like bloodlust that you gain. I kind of like that. Like Harold was so unstable. He's like, he would be nice to the guy 1 second, and then the second he's just stabbing you in the head with an ice
pick,
ice cream scooper.
And then Joy is there, and I'm like, Ward is trying to get her out of there because he's a fucking psychopath. A lot of that tension I like, but ultimately in the last episode, that fucking fight scene between Danny and Harold, like this is a kung fu show, and this is the last fight scene I get, this awkward fucking fight scene on the roof where there's no kung fu and he's using pipes. Like this is the last fight scene of the series? Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah. Deplorable.
It should have been what we saw in episode 11, just like kind of ramped up, where it should have been like, you should have had Colleen Wing fighting Bakudo, but then also simultaneously have Davos and Danny Rand fighting.
Oh, that would have been great. You could have done this whole thing in like 8 to 10 episodes also.
Anyone with a brain is like, okay, Danny Rand, like if you're taking the facts as they are presented in the show, Danny Rand is supposed to be the baddest person on the planet, right?
Yep.
Even though no one of us believe it. And in the last episode, he's going to fight a guy, like a 45-year-old dude.
A guy who...
like that's been training like by himself and just punching heavy bags. Like, no way this is a fight.
And he uses his iron fist to block a bullet. It's so...
lame.
Like, what lame uses of his fucking power? What are you doing? I wish Davos used those aluminum foil stars again. Where do those go? Those would have been handy. That like made me laugh out loud when he did that. I was like, okay. Right.
Well, Davos, like his like fish out of water stuff, 10 times better than Danny Rand, like acting like this spoiled brat that's like, but I'm Danny Rand. Don't you believe me? I'm Danny Rand.
So then why at the end would Joy want to kill Danny Rand with Davos?
So fucking.
Does that make any sense?
No.
And why if he just got his company back, why does he go to Kunlun at the end? And this 15-year window, how long is this window open? Like, this is a pretty big window because he got through, Davos got through. Apparently, it's still open, the fucking window. He's trying to go back. Like, how does this work? How does any of this work? I don't think anybody knew.
No one gives a fuck about Kunlun because no one's seen anything on Kunlun.
Yeah.
You're talking about this like alternate like universe. Like you could have like explored.
That would have been great.
Doctor Strange has like all these alternate. Like you could have like referenced some of this stuff. But instead, you're just like, yeah, it's like a styrofoam snow mountain in wherever,
totally styrofoam.
In the Himalayas, and then in this cave, it looks like a cave that like you could stumble upon in like I don't know Mexico. Like, and they're just seeing red eyes. Like, what? Like, I thought this cave, like, I thought this lair, wherever this dragon would be like a lot more epic.
Yeah,
I
think also that like that the fact that both I forgot how to say his name, Bakudo. All right.
Barack Obama?
Barack Barakudo.
Yeah. Brokudo. Him and Davos are both guys that know about shit, about Kunlun that, like, even Danny doesn't know.
Yeah.
They're more well-versed in Iron Fist shit. And I think Davos would have been a cool final bad guy.
Well, he's going to be, they're setting him up probably for he's supposed to be the Steel Serpent.
Yeah.
And I think he's son of that guy, the Thunderer that Danny kept seeing, which that wasn't clear either. Like, was he remembering? Was he actually projecting himself there? Was this a hallucination?
You talking about Lei Kung?
Yeah, Lei Kung the Thunderer.
That's his like mentor.
Yeah,
in the Kunlun.
And but like I saw a lot of people were confused. Like, who's this guy? The only reason I knew his name is because I had the captions on and it said Thunderer. I was like, oh, that's the guy. That's the Thunderer. The music, I thought, you know what's funny about these Netflix shows is after like Stranger Things and a little bit Mr. Robot, you know how they have those, it has like 80s synth vibe. Like every show has been trying to do that. And so this show had really weird like 80s synth score music that I didn't think it fit at all.
Kind of that's like a callback to Enter the Dragon.
Oh, okay.
You know,
yeah.
Like, but it wasn't like whatever. But it was just like kind of like the 80s synthy stuff. They were trying to shoehorn it. It just didn't sound right.
It didn't work really. It didn't really work.
It wasn't terrible, but I mean, there's too many things. The show's so bad now you want to like look at everything that sucks. It's like I mean, whatever.
There's also like this weird like vibe with these Netflix shows where they have to make everything dark, and I don't think that Danny Rand necessarily needed to be that dark, but they were making him like, and the way they decided to make him dark was he was like, I'm gonna throw a tantrum
all angsty
right now.
Yeah.
Like, why does he have to be angsty? Like, couldn't he just be this disciplined badass that comes back and is like, holy fuck, the hand is here. I know now what my purpose is. It's to fight the hand all over the world, not just in Kunlun. Like, couldn't he have been just this disciplined guy? Instead, like, they like made him like, oh, I have all these feelings that I've never ever talked about to anybody. Like, it's like, what? Like, no one wants to see this. No one wants to see this pussy on screen.
You don't want to see boardroom scenes in your superhero drama? There's a lot of boardroom scenes in the front half.
I want to see boardroom scenes if they add up to something. Those boardroom scenes at the end of the day meant nothing.
No, where did that like?
It was only to establish that Danny sucks at business and he's a good guy.
Yeah.
I'm going to sell him at cost.
It's just the whole like dragging out like the M&M's thing. So Joy believed that it was him, and then then the whole drug thing. Like, what did that amount to? You could have got that shit done so much quicker. This whole series could have been done in like 10 episodes. Easy.
Someone suggested, I think it was on Collider, that if you start with like episode 5.
Yeah, skip the first fucking 5.
Skip the first 4, that like the show is like so much better.
I can see that. Because it's not, you can catch up very quickly.
I think that the end is so bad, though.
Yeah,
the end is bad.
It's just like, it's a weird, stumbly end. I don't get it. Hopefully now they can correct his character in the Defenders and not make him such a fucking dweeb. And maybe he has a little more confidence and stature. Maybe he plays it completely different.
I read an article that I heard that he's going to, in the Defenders, he's kind of going to be the hothead.
Oh, okay. So he's still emotional.
Luke Cage and Luke Cage is the guy that kind of calms him down.
The center, the mellow guy. Yeah. Huh. I don't know.
I just think Defenders will probably be better just because it's not on the shoulders of Finn Jones. And I haven't seen him in Game of Thrones, so I can't comment on his acting and other stuff. I thought he was really
right.
He plays a dude who's gay.
Yeah, we've talked about that. So it's a completely different.
I thought he was like I know the script was bad, but I think a better actor could have made some of that a little better. There's shitty lines, and I think you can deliver some shitty, like just better actors could have handled that a lot better. Like at one point he's like either that, like when he's in China, quotes around China, he's like either that guy's gonna talk, he's either gonna talk or he's gonna bleed. And I'm like, what?
So you know what? I didn't.
Ruggs, I cut you off. You were gonna say something.
I was gonna say, like, you have a kind of a challenge here. Basically, you can get a guy who has the physicality to be, you know, a great guy to watch do kung fu, a great stunt person, a great, you know, like, so if you like, let's say they got the guy who played the drunken master, he's probably really good, you know, and would have made the fight scenes on a whole other level, been more fun to watch. I don't know what his acting ability is, but to find a guy that can do kung fu really well and act really well is tough.
That's hard. Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, like the guy who played Finn Jones, he didn't embody the character, and they were kind of like, they would have had to hang the show completely on stunts and good fight scenes to get you through it. And because we already got like a shitty Danny Rand. We already know what that's like. We don't know what a great Iron Fist with great fight scenes looks like. We don't know what that is. Maybe that would have been a lot better. Maybe it would have been a little bit more favorable if we had that.
That's all a lot of people wanted.
It's tough to try and find an actor that can act and do kung fu and work well like that. It's not easy.
They needed to really find a way, and you said this earlier, Ruggs, but I'll reiterate. They really needed to find a way to put the mask on him.
If
they could put the mask on him and like make it not cheesy.
Yeah.
And they were on the path with the color scheme and the 1940s photo, like the color scheme of the monks. But like, if you just put the mask on him, those fight scenes could be a lot.
And you would have, I was thinking about that too. Why so hesitant to? Like, I think they shouldn't worry about if it's going to look stupid. You can at least give us good martial arts.
I don't get like Daredevil ran with it and just immediately was like, okay, he's in the shitty black costume.
It worked.
That like looked terrible on photo, but actually worked on screen. And then the second season, they were like, we're putting the whole suit on him. And it's not like everyone's favorite version of the suit, but he is walking around in like a Halloween costume, and it works.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they were so hesitant with this one.
It's really going to hamper them. I liked, you know how Colleen took, she told them, call me daughter of the dragon. I would love to see Colleen Wing Misty Knight show called Daughters of the Dragon, which is, there's a comic book of that. So it was a nod to the comics.
Let me ask you something though, because this is a reference to the comics. Misty Knight eventually hooks up with Danny Rand.
Yeah.
Now, what we've seen of Misty Knight,
she would chew him up.
What
and
we've
spit
seen
him
of
out.
Danny Rand, do you think they would ever hook up?
Dude, she would fucking kick his ass.
Unless she makes him her boy toy.
Right.
Like, are they ever going to hook up?
There's no way he can handle this Misty Knight.
Well, he's had a dick in his ass before.
On the Game of Thrones.
Oh my God.
He can pull it off.
A couple other Easter eggs. We talked about Lei Kung, the Thunderer, Danny's fake passport. We talked about the character John Anderson was actually from Spider-Man. He was introduced a neighbor of Peter Parker during the mid-2000s.
Is that really the reference?
I don't know if that's why they put it in there, but it's a common name. But there is a John Anderson in Spider-Man. Davos will be the Steel Serpent. He is the Steel Serpent in the comics. We have Daughters of the Dragon. Those stickers, remember when he brought his old desk and he looked underneath and there were stickers? Those are Jack Kirby monsters from Strange Tales. They mentioned Karen Page in reference to when they got the story to beat Karen Page to the front page. In that tournament scene that we had Bride of Nine Spiders and a villain known as Scythe were a couple of the comic book characters. We see the Dogs of Hell. They mention them, which they've been on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Daredevil. The Jessica Jones mention was cool. Joy hired Jessica Jones at one point where she's like, she's a good investigator when she's sober. You're like, oh shit.
Wait, one before you continue on the Easter eggs. We never talked. Do you guys? Any of you guys? What do you guys think of Joy? She's like one of the only characters we haven't talked about.
She was kind of annoying. I hate when the people keep things from other characters, and then you have to play that. Like him and Danny were hiding the fact that her father was still alive for so long. It was kind of annoying, and she didn't figure it out. And then when she does figure it out, she's like, "Oh, okay, you're alive. Like it's all cool." I don't know her character. I don't know what she was doing. I'm not sure.
Yeah, she was written pretty unevenly.
Yeah, I thought there was going to be like a romance, but then they killed it.
With her and Danny, right, because they were all friends. Yeah, I mean, what I liked about Claire Temple is she was saying things that you, the viewer, wanted to say. Like, what the fuck is this? Why can't you do this? Like, that, and she's always the viewer's mouthpiece in like all these shows.
See, the Claire Temple for me in this one actually didn't work so much. Like, I liked that she was
a little
the nurse.
shoehorned. She was a little shoehorned.
Yeah, like, why is she like all of a sudden trusted to go on these missions?
Why did she go to China? And here was my thing: how the fuck is she fighting these fucking ninjas with them all of a sudden? Like, she just started training, and now she's grabbing the fucking claws, and she's a badass fighter. Along with these martial arts masters, supposed.
The biggest issue I have is Claire Temple. It's cool that they have Rosario Dawson kind of connecting everything. She's the Phil Coulson.
Yeah.
But inevitably, like, when you have her in this many shows and there's always these villains that they've got to take out, like, I know Luke Cage is in jail.
Yep.
I know that Jessica Jones is kind of like her own little thing and she doesn't really play well with others. But when she mentions that I know a guy that's fought the Hand before,
yeah.
and she realizes that the Hand is back.
Yeah.
They never explain why she doesn't fucking just call Matt Murdock to help her out.
That's another huge thing that, you know what? I forgot about that. And that got me enraged when I was watching it. I was so pissed.
You gotta like throw in a line, like maybe he's like, you gotta be like, oh, Matt's in San Francisco doing, like, lawyer work, or like you have to explain that. Otherwise, if you're a fan of like the connected universe, then this does not work.
I mean, she says, I know a guy who took on the Hand, and nobody goes, hey, maybe we should ask that guy for advice. Can we call him? Is he? Can you get a hold of this guy?
The guy fucking beat the Hand in what? Yeah. In Hell's Kitchen? How far is that from, where were they, in Manhattan?
Yeah.
Is that like that far?
Yeah. That's the other thing I missed was kind of a sense of place, of a setting. Like, you didn't really have, it was just like Midtown Manhattan, generic, downtown New York.
It was like corporate America.
Yeah, it was like the bougie, nice part of town, Upper West Side America.
Yeah.
Plus, how did nobody know Madame Gao's working on the 13th floor of your building for 25 fucking years? Are you kidding me? Or 15?
That was stupid too.
Like, nobody bothered to check the 13th floor?
Did you like the chicks with the suitcases?
Oh, when they were selling the drugs? What was that?
I was into that. I was into that.
What was going on there? I thought they were like medical reps, but I was like, oh, they're just fucking peddling legal heroin. They did look nice.
Oh, you're going to love this. And then they're like bending over and shit.
They're like, let me show you something. There is a Stan Lee cameo. I guess Stan Lee just makes cameos on posters now in these shows because it's real quick. He's a poster as a cop again when she meets Jerry Hogarth, when Claire and Jerry meet up. And she also gets a letter from Luke Cage. She's reading a letter from Luke Cage at one point, who is in prison, like you said. So I
want to say too, like, I know we're hard on the fight scenes, but I'm not expecting like Raid level, which, by the way, I rewatched some of the Raid fight scenes and wow, they're really awesome. I'm not expecting that, but you've literally done this with Daredevil.
Yeah.
So you've set the bar.
What happened?
I don't understand. Like, what happened?
What happened? I mean, Into the Badlands should not have better martial arts. Just spend some time. Like, clearly, production was rushed. Everything just seemed rushed. It's the only thing I can think of. They didn't have time, but what happened? But whatever. Just make it up with a badass defenders, and most will be forgiven, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so before I got some feedback from to read about from our listeners, but let's rank this up with Daredevil season 1 and 2, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Now we have Iron Fist, Rugs. Where
we need to even do this. We know it's at the bottom.
We know it's at the bottom.
Okay, well, I'll just.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it's good. It's
like
not.
If you say that it's not the bottom, then you're an asshole.
I didn't even think Luke Cage was that slow, and this makes Luke Cage seem like it was a speedy paced fucking show.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what.
Well, at least Luke Cage had it like. I think we all kind of agreed on Luke Cage that like it kind of went off the rails. Well, maybe not Imran. Imran was just so obsessed with
I still like it.
He couldn't like see that like the plot went off the rails after like the 6th or 7th episode. But this show, oh my God.
At least that was still about something overall.
It was rich with culture.
Yes, that's what I really. This show has nothing. Like, it's so fucking bland.
Like, what's his name? Mark Bernardin's like Daredevil is about like crime and justice and Catholic guilt. Like, there's these big themes like Catholic guilt and like dealing with people putting you down, and then like Jessica Jones is like PTSD and rape, and Luke Cage is about like black culture and like having power but not being able to do anything with it, and like against like having straight awesome power but it meaning nothing. Right. And like, what is this show about?
What were they going for?
What is the big theme? Like, what is the really big overview?
Identity of self or some shit? I don't know.
Like finding yourself? Is that what this is about?
Playing with yourself? It's more like.
And if he found himself, then why is it he comes to the conclusion at the end of the show
gotta go back.
that he needs to go back to Cologne?
It doesn't make any sense. You're a shitty Iron Fist, Danny Rand. That's it. And I hope they save his character and give him more of a purpose in Defenders. But man. Yeah, I guess we don't really have to rank. I got some email. I want to share.
Don't worry, I'm the one that suggested that, and then immediately when we were talking about, I'm like, wait, why are we ranking this?
Stupid. Let me share an email from listener Ronald Hans, who's a Patreon supporter. This email is actually the very first thing he sent us, and I've been saving it this whole time for the show because he talks about Iron Fist. He says, "Hey guys, Ronald Hans here, loyal listener and new Patreon. I wanted to start interacting with you guys and thought that this was the best time. I heard your initial reviews of Iron Fist this morning and wanted to float mine to you as well. Like I do with all the Netflix Marvel shows, I powered through it and was done by Saturday afternoon. With that said, I thought that this was the weakest that the two have put out so far. I didn't read the comics for Iron Fist, so just at a TV show level, I thought it was a struggle to get through. At no point did I think that any one episode of Iron Fist was better than any episode of Marvel's Netflix that has come before it. I felt that the acting was weak, the story wasn't great, the martial arts, which should have been the best for any of these shows, wasn't better than anything that was in Daredevil. Just to make sure that I didn't have Daredevil up on some unjust pedestal, I went back and I watched a lot of DD Season 2, and nope, Daredevil was way better in all aspects. Luke Cage went downhill after episode 7, but at least it had something to fall from. For me, the story never really grabbed me. The only good thing, in my opinion, about the Iron Fist season is that it got us to Defenders. A little more, he's got spoiler thoughts. The other seasons of Netflix Marvel introduced good supporting characters like Luke Cage, Stick, Trish Walker, Elektra, Misty Knight, etc. I think Iron Fist tried to do that with Colleen Wing, but I don't think they gave her enough. Her fight scenes were okay, but nothing great. Outside of her cage brawls and kicking the broken sword into Bakuto's leg, nothing stood out. There's only really one scene that sticks out that was cool from an Iron Fist perspective, which didn't come until the last episode of the season when Danny Rand hit the floor in the office and blew everything up. Oh, I guess that was the last episode. I have so many more problems with this, from Finn Jones's acting and seeming to be "it's all my fault," which is actually the last line of the season. Woe is me actor to the story holes of now at the end of the season. Joy Meacham wants to try and kill Danny Rand. I will stop there for now, but I look forward to interacting with the show more and can't wait to hear the review of this in more depth. Thanks, Ron, for writing in, and he's written in again, and now he's on our Facebook group, and this was the very first thing, and yeah. Largely, we agree with everything you've said. I guess that was a rough one. Guess that was the last episode where he did that fucking fist to the floor.
I thought it was.
Ugh, it was just, the whole thing was anticlimactic. I have some more listener comments based on our last episode. Remember we talked about the season finale of The Walking Dead, and I was like, what the fuck was that gun Daryl was using? It was awesome. Well, listener Daryl, who goes by @thatguydaryl on Twitter, he knows what gun it is. He tweets, Daryl was using a War Sports Industries LVOA-C with a modified short barrel.
Oh, shit.
This guy knows his gun.
What the fuck is that?
I don't know, but this guy knows.
Machine gun?
He knows his guns.
Huh.
It's a pretty serious gun. Thanks, Daryl, for telling us about Daryl. I just put this in the... Oh, yeah, that's it. This thing's badass. Other feedback, Jimmy McPike tweets us to turn us on to a new show. He says, at Jock and Nerdcast, check out Winona Earp on Netflix. Horror Western with a female lead who plays a gunslinger that hunts the ghosts of the outlaws her ancestors have killed. Not a perfect show, but it's a lot of fun. I've heard good things about this show. Ruggs, have you seen any Winona Earp?
No interest.
I didn't either, but people were talking about this show. Maybe
I might throw it on one day.
Yeah, if I got time, which I never will. Adam Morris comments on Daredevil Season 3. He says, word is Daredevil Season 3 will adapt Born Again. So Kingpin and Nuke, but with Bullseye in there too. That's a rumor. Remember, we were like, we got to have Bullseye in Season 3. He says it's a great story, but put Karen in Ben Urich's role instead of a heroin-addicted porn, though. Because in Born Again, it's a fucking awesome story where Kingpin decides to take down Daredevil by taking down Matt Murdock and destroying his life. He gets Karen addicted to heroin, and he just fucks with his personal life. It's a fantastic story, but I don't know if you want to do that to this Karen Page. I like his suggestion here. Karen can be in the Ben Urich role as the news reporter. And then remember at the end of the last episode, Matt Dallauer cleared the air about how he doesn't actually hate science.
Oh shit!
Because I'm shitty at explaining things. To Adam Morris. Well, Adam heard that and he says, ha 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 ha, there was no beef anyway. But telephone game point taken. That was hilarious, boys. Enjoyed it. And then Dallauer had a Spider-Man science question to ask him. And Adam says, I'll get back with a voice clip within the day or two. But hey, it'll just be more fake news, Anthony, you dick. Of course, it's all fake news. And then Lacey Johnson tweeted at us, ever considered going on a paranormal radio show, or have you been on any cool shows?
Oh, that's like so she's begging us to this girl's in cahoots with that dude.
Jeff Hillier from Dead X Radio. She's a listener of his, one of his fans. We'd love to go on his show. We had him on. But we've been on cool shows. I have all these links in the show notes. I'm on another show called Sketching Comedy, where we draw and we talk about cartoonists and comics while we're doodling, and then there's like a drawing at the end. It's a lot of fun. You can also find me on Trivia Geeks, hosting or being team captain. This is all over at the Blazing Caribou Studios network of podcasts. The three of us have been on Weeby Geeks, and then I go on there every so often with Michael and Mighty Marvel Geeks podcast. You can check out the Hollow 9 Network with Dave Maresca, who we got to get Dave on the show. Dave, if you're listening, reach out. We want your rants on the show. He's cool. I've been on a couple of his shows. And then we've been on 365 Flicks podcast. We did a crossover, Bruce Wayne's World crossover, and I'm sure there will be more to come. So, yeah, we have been on cool shows. And
you forgot the video game show. How do I
Oh, yeah, I did a couple of the weekly jump over at How Do I Jump, where you can hear me make up bullshit about video games, which I know nothing about, on a video game podcast. It's the most hilarious thing.
I pressed the button and it went.
How do I jump? I don't know. How do I jump? I don't know. Trivia Geeks is another podcast where if you guys want to, if you have a podcast or you have a product and you got a good mic, you want to come on Trivia Geeks, sign up. I'll put a link to booking in the show notes. It's great exposure and it's a lot of fun. And it's the show where the less you know, the better you're going to do.
Oh shit.
You don't have to know shit to be on this trivia podcast. It's tons of fun. Rugboy's been on there. Matt Dallauer has been on Trivia Geeks. And it's a fun time.
Yeah, and I know shit.
No, you don't have to know shit, but you got the queef question right. And
yes,
that was the only point.
That's all that matters.
That was the only point you got.
Better than none. Well, that's it.
All right, well, I think that's all the show we got. Any final thoughts about anything, fellas?
No.
I'm still excited for Defenders, but this didn't help.
Yeah, Defenders.
This didn't ramp up.
No, unfortunately not. It can't come soon enough. We've got a date, August 8th, 2017. And so I'm thinking The Punisher may come out like November, December then. They still haven't given us a date, but they wrap production on The Punisher.
Probably November.
Right? So if we can get 3 this year, if we get 3 Marvel movies and 3 Netflix shows, holy crap, what a great year it is.
What a time to be alive.
What a time to be alive. Ruggs, where can the people find you on the internets?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at Really Rugboy. And you can find me there. And I don't know what I'm going to do. When you find me, I don't know what's going to happen.
You can poke Rugboy in the slack hole. Thanks for listening, listener. We appreciate every second you spend with us in your ear holes. This is the Jock and Nerd Podcast, and we will see you next time. My name is Imran.
My name's Anthony.
He's the Jock.
He's the nerd.
Hey, Guevadoce, everybody.
It sounds like a sign-off.
It does, and a nice Guevadoce to you.
Guevadoce.
Buenas noches.
Get your hand off my penis!
Jock and Nerd.
Imagine we get to interview an actual Guevadoce.